Welcome to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brecheen.
Hi, everyone. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report with Lee Brecheen. We got a great show today. We also have head coach Nelson Stewart, longtime head coach Nelson Stewart of Newman High School in New Orleans. And I want to go ahead and go to Nelson, and we can go ahead and start the show. Nelson, thanks for joining us, man.
Oh, no, it's great to hear from you. And like I said, definitely a new format. I've been interviewed many times and been on your great TV show. It's great to hear from you, get some normalcy, and just get a chance to talk prep football and Newman. And as always, I just can't thank you enough for all you do for our Louisiana football coverage. Great to hear from you.
You know what, Nelson, and we were talking about this off the air before we get into Newman and your team and everything, but you know, reality is we're all doing things that we normally wouldn't do a lot of, you know, prior to the pandemic or COVID-19 or the coronavirus, whatever you want to call it. But I told you I was walking. I'm probably walking 50 miles a week, probably losing a pound every 3 months. And you told me you've been doing a lot of jogging and lifting weights too, huh?
Yeah, no, I've tried to keep it going. It's a bit of a chore, as you know, without the gym. So I feel like I live in a small subdivision, Old Metairie and Jefferson Parish. I feel like that everybody's seen me walking nonstop. As we came back, some of my players kind of laughed, saying my little old man walking nonstop. And I'm fortunate that my neighbor's got a little gym, so I'm in a garage and lifting weights every day. And you know, you just try and stay active physically and mentally, and be smart with it. You know, mask up, do what we need to do, but. I just tried to find a new normal, and I think I've definitely hit my all-time step count. You know, I like to think on Friday nights I walk a lot, but this has been a whole different world during the pandemic. But, you know, a lot of good conversations. I've been able to speak to, you know, a lot of my coaching friends and network, and really every day just kind of see what's going on across the state, what guys are doing, and how we're all dealing with this thing.
Yeah, Coach, me and Jace Lejeune, my editor, in the last 3.5 months, we've counted that we've interviewed 300 coaches, probably about 350 counting assistants, and close to 5,000 recruits. And it's been a joy on that side just to hear from these kids and realize that they can't wait to kick the pigskin football off, you know, come hopefully August, hopefully it's still jamborees, but definitely September. But talking about Newman, Nelson, tell everybody, I mean, you've been at Newman a long time, and you're an alumni of Newman, but tell everybody how many years you've been at Newman and how many years this will be for you coming up.
Yeah, it's been a long time. You know, this will be my 15th season as head football coach and 22nd year overall back at Newman. It's my alma mater. I graduated in 95, and, you know, for me, I was very fortunate to play under Tony Reginelli and then Frank Induce in his first year, my senior season. And I got to really see, you know, Peyton and Cooper really ignite this thing back, I think, in 91, get it rolling. And it was a quick trip. I just went around the block to Tulane University. I got to play great 4 years there and came right back. So it really was. It's a quick trip. And, you know, it really put a lot into the program. It's my alma mater, and next to my family. You know, it's kind of all I do, and I've tried to give my heart to it and everything I've had to it, and proud of what we'd accomplished. But, you know, I think the thing with Newman is it's just a wonderful institution, a great headmaster in Dale Smith, and work under a tremendous athletic director in Patrick Summer, and so many great people over there that support our program. And, it's flown by, but, you know, you wake up and, wow, 15 years as a head football coach, but it's been a great honor, and I hope I'm able to do it for a long time in front of me.
And, Coach, I was going through my closet on my carport where I stored all these boxes. I kept every recruiting paper since 1978.
Wow.
And so I was going through stuff like, wow, you know, I forgot about this picture, or back when you took Polaroid pictures, you know, before the iPhone.
Yeah.
And I've got about 10,000, 15,000 photos from the first 10 years we had the magazine. And so now I'm thinking, man, I got to get this stuff transferred over. You know, we got pictures with Peyton Manning, we got pictures with Eli in high school, and you know, Josh Booty, all these great players that came out, Donnie Jones, Catholic High. But But tell everybody the program. There's a perception that they think Newman's always got these great players. Yeah, they've had great quarterbacks, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning. We're going to talk about your quarterbacks, too. There's other quarterbacks that have come out. But you haven't always had, 22 D1 starters. You've never had, that kind of talent, year in and year out. You've had good football players. And y'all been able to coach these kids, develop them, and have great seasons. But, Newman really hasn't recruited – teams, and it's really the school. Like you said, the academic school is first, and then sports are second, right, Coach?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that is very unique. And Newman's a tremendously hard institution. I think we're almost Ivy League-ish in terms of our faculty and our demands and our workload of the kids that we have. And, yeah, the vast majority of our student athletes, to be honest with you, have gone on to just go to college and just have the college experience. And, while again, we're known for Peyton and Eli and, mostly Odell Beckham, and we've got a few now, the vast majority of our kids and guys I brought on your show in the past have just been, great high school football players that, one of the things we always say at Newman is there's a reason student comes first and student athlete. And that's the number one thing as kids come to our institution. And we've worked very hard to establish that. We've had a number of, really successful all-district, even all-state players that, just have had great high school careers. And that's the vast majority of our kids. Our recruiting is done in the admissions office. You go there, you have to apply. And obviously, I think that our program's been attractive for a number of players who want to have that Newman, academic football experience. But I think you summed it up perfect. Really, the majority of the kids going down the list have just been great student athletes. And really, to this day, the bulk of our team are just really solid high school football players that play because they love high school football. And that for them, that journey really goes through their senior season. So, I think that's exactly right.
Coach, we're listening to Coach Nelson Stewart, the head football coach at Newman High School in New Orleans. Coach, we're going to take a break. Don't go anywhere. We're going to take a break. We're going to have more of Coach Nelson Stewart. When I come back, I'm going to ask Coach about some of the great quarterbacks that have come out of the program. There's been many. Everybody thinks of Peyton Manning and Eli Manning, but there's been several really great high school quarterbacks to come out of Newman High School. We'll be right back.
Hello, Sports Scouting Report fans. Like what you hear? Well, you're going to love our content at LAFootballMagazine.com. This week, check out Recruit Spotlight on Landry Walker quarterback Justin Hudson, who has committed to the Tennessee State Tigers this past week. Also, make sure to check out our podcast and pre-order your North or South Magazine edition for this upcoming season. All that and more on LAFootballMagazine.com.
Welcome back to Louisiana. I'm trying to call it the football magazine, Nelson. I'm trying to get used to it. But it's the Sports Scouting Report with Lee Brecheen is what you're listening to. And I've got Nelson Stewart, the head football coach at Newman High School. And Coach, before we get into the quarterbacks that have come out of Newman, besides Peyton Manning and Eli Manning, and we're gonna get to Arch Manning later, but I watched the Dunham game last year. And I hate to bring up memories, but I'm just that's the game I watched. And I watched a couple other games. Out of the 200 games I saw last year, I'm just scrambling right now who are the second, third games. But very impressed with the team and the young guys. You put a lot of young guys on the field last year. A lot of freshmen played, not just Arch Manning, but a lot of freshmen that I noticed. You got a talented young tight end that's coming back that I thought might be the most talented tight end I've ever seen in the program. And then you've got a great corner that's coming back that's going to be a senior that we'll talk about. But we were talking about the academics and we were talking about athletics and the other break. But Dunham High School is similar to Newman in Baton Rouge, where even though they've had a Derek Stingley, they haven't had a lot of D1 players come out. It's a great academic school in both 2A schools, both Class 2A.
Yeah, no, I think the first thing about Dunham is Neil Weiner's one of my best friends in coaching. We got to know each other at the Manning Passing Academy, and we played each other twice, and we split it both sides. And I think, as you said, with the Dunham school, they do have a number of high-profile kids. You hear, obviously, going back, like I said, they have Derek Stingley, Big Mike Williams, and those guys. But just a tremendous academic institution. I think, like Newman, just has a great blend. I know they're successful in all their sports, have a great basketball program. And Neil doesn't just serve as the football coach; he's also the athletic director. I think he does a great job wearing both hats. And even in playing Dunham, we knew it was going to be close to an even matchup. We actually thought they might be a little better up front. I think they were. And just first class in everything that they do. Ironically, our defensive coordinator started his career at Dunham, and for me, that was a real, plus for knowing he was coming from Neil and working again at independent school. So, tremendous school, tremendous program, and I do think that's a fair comparison in terms of kind of how we balance out. And I think it's it's not a mistake that we split it and had two really good games against each other.
And two other famous alumni from that school. You will remember this being a Tulane alum. Kerry Koch, that went to Tulane.
Oh, yes.
Finished at Virginia. And then Todd Kinchin, that had a good career at LSU and the Atlanta Falcons. But, Coach, would you like to play somebody differently if you get to the semis besides Catholic and Iberia and Dunham? Would you like a different opponent?
I think I would. Ironically, as you said, Neil Weiner, Brent Indes, one of my best friends in the world. We talk every week, but I told Brent after, the third time we played him and went down, I said, it'd sure be nice to not have to try and defend this wing T and this Swiss Army knife stack defense and what they do. But I do miss the days like everybody of, pre-split and not knowing where you were going. And, it would be nice, but, we're just going to continue to hammer away. I think we gained ground on that, but it almost sometimes becomes like a sequel when you get the playoffs and go. So like I said, it's a new world, but I think that'd be nice for the kids. You do like to kind of vary it up, but again, two great programs.
Yeah. It's like 5A and 2A are laid out to where you're going to play the same, top 6 teams you got to face them again, the same people. Speaking of quarterbacks, Coach, I did a little research on the quarterbacks we promoted. Damian Carter was a really good quarterback coming out of the program in 2003, signed with Southern Miss. And a lot of people forget about Damian Carter, how good he was at Newman.
Yeah, I know. It was actually, that was when I first started back in 2000. He was a sophomore quarterback. I was actually coaching offensive line under Frank and Deuce. And he was kind of in the first wave of breaking from that pro style that Newman was, known for. Damien could sprint out. He could run the option. He had a cannon of an arm. He could really push it downfield. And, we really thought at the time when he signed, it would be a good fit for him. He obviously went in there. Guys like Nicky D'Angelo, Southern Miss had a lot of really good quarterbacks back then. But, he had a great outing against Nebraska his first year and went on to play wide receiver. But, Damien had a really nice senior season, led us to the state quarterfinals where we lost to Episcopal. He threw off the top of my head over 2,000 yards. He ran really well. Really a dynamic playmaker, really cool in the pocket. And he had a great career for us. And like I said, that really was, my first experience back at Newman, kind of seeing where things were headed as Damien was in the helm of us on offense.
I want to mention some other quarterbacks, and I'm going to go through all of them and then get your take after I go through all of them. But
sure,
either these kids made all district or they were all state. And a credit to you and your staff, Nelson, to develop these kids. But in 2004, you had Jonathan DeLaurel, who was a good quarterback. Wes Laquette, 2006 to 2009. Martin Butcher was a very good quarterback. Miles LaPerry was a heck of a quarterback. And what do you think of all those kids? That they were all unique, like Laquette, Butcher, LaPerry, Jonathan. These guys were really, really great leaders.
Yeah, they really were. Jonathan was actually on the last team before I took over, and a really good system guy, just kind of gritted it out. He and his brother, ironically, both played college football. David was a successor to Eli. He went on to play at the University of Virginia and actually earned a scholarship, served as a backup there. And Jonathan, really, we've moved up to AAA. He was under, Frank Indusa, Ken Last, and was a real gritty quarterback. And I actually think his best thing he did was he walked on at the University of Georgia, and a few years later when I was at the Sugar Bowl, I watched him take a knee against Hawaii, which was for me just thrilling that he worked that hard to do that. And just, again, big, tall, long arm throwers and, kind of moving as I took over. For me, it all started with Wesley Kett when we came in, and I was able to, take over the program. We moved to more of a spread-based approach, throwing things vertically. And I assure you, I had never seen anybody could throw a ball like Wes. Wes was I guess a blue chip 5-star catcher. He at the time had a major league pop time, and he really is where we began running more zone read, 4 verticals, running the seams, and really pushing it downfield. And I was so young, in my 20s at the time, but that we were the infancy as we grew, throwing bubbles, getting it out fast, no huddle. And Wes, I thought, got better each and every year. And all of a sudden, we went from that, when he came in, I think the year before in 04 rather, we won 5 games or 4 games. But Wes, we won 8 games his first year and eventually ended up in the state quarterfinals. And then, moving through, like you said, that tree, we all of a sudden went into a guy named Ryan Brenner, who was throwing to Odell Beckham. He actually led the city in throwing, and we ran more crossers and pro-style approach, but also option routes and whatnot. Jay Tyler came in after him, and when Jay Tyler, he was actually the Metro MVP, the state MVP in district, and he was I almost say he was like a video game what he could do.
Right.
You could kind of do everything.
That was Herb Tyler's son for people that don't know.
Yeah. No, he was fantastic for us. He was certainly as exciting a player as we'd had, and he could do really, like I said, he could do anything. And he was the one, I think, the catalyst, that group of Kendall Bussey Jr., Jay signed with Stanford. They all of a sudden, we got, the state semifinal mark as he came in. He served as a starter for 3 years, did a great job, a really phenomenal job there. Miles LaPierre, as you alluded to, came in, and that's all of a sudden where, we started work. You hear about RPOs and reading and things like that. He really started doing that, and he had a really outstanding career for us. Went out and, really had some nice runs. That was that first unbelievable win against Dunham, where I think he threw for almost 400 yards and a ton of touchdowns, where we were able to upset a great team. And he finished his career strong. He actually went on and walked on at Tulane, played quarterback at wide receiver. Martin Butcher, who really was that precision guy, he threw for 3,200 yards, over 50 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, numbers I never could have believed. His senior season, I think, was as fine a statistical year, as I'd seen. Obviously all district, all metro, all state. He did all those things with great wide receivers. And then he went on to Georgetown. And again, I think, just as underrated a kid in terms of looking back at his numbers. And, I've been fortunate to really work hard with our quarterbacks. We take pride in it. In terms of our system, our footwork, we're always growing. And I think right now that's kind of led us up to Arch Manning where we are today. So I could go all day about our quarterbacks. I love them all, and it's been a great experience.
Tune in on Friday for part 2 of Lee's interview with Newman High School head football coach Nelson Stewart.
We'll be right back on the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brecheen. Parents, are you looking for advice on getting your high school athlete recruited by the right college? Lee Brecheen is your answer. Lee has been doing it for over 30 years. He knows the ropes, and more importantly, he knows the people. Lee offers turnkey service from evaluation, creating highlight tapes in the correct format, and complete guidelines for effective communication with the schools. No matter the sport, girl or boy, no matter what grade your child is in, let Lee Brecheen help match your child to the right college fit. Go to our website, lafootballmagazine.com, and get connected today.
And I'm very honored to have the head football coach from Tulane University, the Green Wave, in New Orleans, Louisiana, Coach Willie Fritz. Thanks for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me on, Lee. I appreciate it.
I know that you're traveling, and obviously we can't talk about current recruiting, but we can talk about the guys that you've already signed and your team. Coach, not having a spring practice, what is your thoughts? I know a lot of people listen as parents and high school coaches. I mean, there's a lot on your plate already as a college coach to get ready for a season, but obviously we all would have liked to have had that spring practice, right? Like the whole 15 or so practices, and that's something we can't get back.
No, we can't. We were lucky to get 5 in. A lot of people weren't able to get 5 practices in, and I'd hired a couple of new coaches. Got Josh Christian Young. I lost a couple of really good coaches. Chris Hampton went to Duke. Kevin Peoples went to Indiana. I replaced Coach Hampton with Josh Christian Young from Army. And Josh played for me many years ago at Central Missouri and coached for me at Georgia Southern. And then my D-line coach is a Louisiana guy you're well familiar with.
Oh, yeah.
Byron Dawson.
Yeah.
Head coach at Evangel Christian. And so at least we were able to get those guys in the fold and work with them and know about how we do things. I was very impressed with both those guys during the spring. And so we were able to learn quite a few things. We shut things down on March the 16th. Everybody went home and did a whole lot of things via Zoom with meetings and clinics and talking to recruits and prospects and working with our team. I had a lot of really good guest speakers that spoke to our team. Coach Payton actually spoke to our guys for shoot about an hour one day. So they got to listen to a lot of great speakers. And then we came back on June the 15th. We got the whole team right here, right now. And we're just going after it. And we hope and pray that the season's going to occur just like we have it laid out to do. And the kids are very, very excited about it.
Coach, I got a story for you about Byron Dawson. Back in the day, we started the magazine in '97. He was a football player at Evangel Christian, and he was a nose guard. He wasn't ranked or anything. And I went up to Shreveport on a Thursday night, and they were playing Dallas Carter High School, as you know, the famed Dallas Carter High School out of Texas.
Oh, yeah.
And they were number 1 in the country that year, and Evangel was like ranked 5th, so it was number 1 against 5. And Jesse Armstead was on that Dallas Carter team that played many years in the NFL. They had a bunch of guys that played in the NFL. But I went to go see the late Cole Pittman, who had signed with Texas, and had a guy named Stevie Lee that signed with Texas on the same D-line, Coach. And I see this nose guard, the third guy, which is Byron Dawson. And he's 6 foot tall, 320 pounds, big hands, great feet, and had 13 tackles in the game and 3 sacks. And I left. And you know this story. You go to see one guy, and you say, well, who's this guy? And I was talking to Coach Dennis Dunn, and I said, Coach, this guy is the best nose guard in Louisiana. So we put him on the cover of our magazine, Coach, back in the day. So you got to rag him about that. Say, look, Lee told me you were on the cover of the magazine and kind of helped you a little bit there because, you know, 6 foot nose guards need a little love and need a little promoting. Right, Coach?
Oh, yeah. He's really he's just a great person. He brings so many things to the table. He's also a minister.
Yes.
And his father passed away the other day.
I didn't know that, Coach.
Watch and listen to the service. Just a phenomenal man. And then another guest speaker that we've had has been his brother. Played 10 years in the NFL.
Right, Kenyatta Dawson.
You betcha. He did a great job with our guys talking about pass rush technique. He's been a great addition to our staff.
Coach, I'm going to have to call Byron. I didn't know his dad passed. Condolences to his family. I'm going to have to give Byron a call. And I think you hired one of the best Louisiana D-line coaches in the state that could be a college coach. That was a home run, I thought. And then you've got some Louisiana coaches on your staff. J.J. McCluskey, is a Slade Nagel from Lake Charles. Friends with Johnny, his dad, and you got a little mix of Louisiana guys on that staff, which is really good for your school.
Well, we wanted to do that. Jamal Fobbs also.
Right.
We just When I got the job at Tulane, I did not have a real strong background in the state of Louisiana. I knew how great football it was, but I had a very limited recruiting experience. When you take a job, you don't want to take 2, 3, 4 years to kind of figure out the lay of the land.
Mm-hmm.
So Slade knows about every other coach in the state well, which has really helped us out. And then Jamal, his dad is a former coach at Tulane. He's now coaching with his other son at Grambling. So Jamal knew a lot of people in the state as well. And when I was able to add a 10th coach, I was intrigued with adding JJ. He's very familiar with the city of New Orleans. Has helped us throughout the state, and he's another guy. He played 8 years in the NFL and 4 years with the Saints. So Byron has also added, to our familiarity with the state of Louisiana.
Coach, I took in one of your practices last fall, and I really appreciate it. It was a great experience to hang out at Tulane for several hours and got a chance to sit down with you and talk to you and also meet the whole staff and then go to practice. And I know that it was really good. I was glad y'all were practicing in the Superdome one of those days which was really a good experience to take in. And what I was impressed with, Coach, was how organized your practices are and how much it felt like an NFL practice, felt like a Saban practice. And everything was just crisp and you could just see the discipline and you could see everybody was on one page. And when I left that practice, I told a bunch of people, I said, this staff, they're connected and they're doing the right things, and it pays off. You see it on the field. Y'all have had some great seasons, and I know the Tulane fans have to be excited on what y'all have built, and we'll talk about the team pretty soon, but I just really wanted to tell you that, Coach.
Well, I appreciate that, Lee. We put a lot of time, effort, and energy into those 2 hours that we get to work with those guys during practice. I've been doing this a long time, and I also take ideas from my coaches. I don't want to handcuff them where they're not getting the proper amount of time to work on technique and fundamentals. I know that Byron, he's been under some successful head coaches as both a player. You mentioned Coach Saban a little while ago. He played for Coach Saban there at LSU, and then you've got he coached some great coaches at Evangel Christian. And he's a great high school coach. He's USA Today's High School Coach of the Year in 2016. So I'm always learning. I'm always trying to get better. I after each practice, I tape record any notes that I have during the practice, transcribe those. It's always trying to get better, and that's the great thing about coaching sports, coaching football is everybody's trying to improve. The players, the trainers, the managers, and also the coaches.
Coach, we're going to take a break. Don't go anywhere. I want to talk about your team when we come back, brag on some of your players coming back. Stay right there. We'll be right back, Coach. We're listening to head coach Willie Fritz from Tulane University football team. You listen to Sports Scouting Report with Lee Brecheen. We'll be right back.
Hello, Sports Scouting Report fans. Like what you hear? Well, you're going to love our content at LAFootballMagazine.com. This week, check out Recruit Spotlight on Landry Walker quarterback Justin Hudson, who has committed to the Tennessee State Tigers this past week. Also, make sure to check out our podcast and pre-order your North or South Magazine edition for this upcoming season. All that and more on LAFootballMagazine.com.
Welcome back. You listen to Sports Scouting Report with Lee Brecheen. We've got head coach Willie Fritz from Tulane University football. Coach, I want to talk about your team, and I'm really excited for you because I see some of the talent. I went to one practice last year, and obviously now that Justin McMillan has graduated, he did a great job for you transferring from LSU at quarterback. You've got some good quarterbacks on the roster, and you signed a couple, I thought, really good quarterbacks. But your senior to be Jeon Howard, who came from Southern Miss, I thought it's a really good player, going to be a senior. And then the Michael Pratt kid that you got out of Florida, And I think Justin Iberia, I love this kid out of Country Day. I've seen him a bunch of times. But what do you think of the quarterback position post Justin McMillan? And how open is it going into fall?
Well, Justin did a very nice job for us. And that's going to be a huge key to our success this upcoming season is how we play a quarterback. We had those 5 practices that I talked about earlier. Jeon Howard has got a lot of experience. Started 8 games at Southern Miss. Won the state championship over Mississippi at Laurel High School. I thought he had a great spring. All 3 of these guys are what I call gym rats. They love being in the office, talking football, and working on their craft. Michael Pratt, his high school team, played for a large class state title in Florida, and he graduated early and was able to go through those 5 spring practices also. And then you mentioned Justin Iberia. I think it's going to be interesting to see what he's able to do when he gets to just focus on one sport.
Yeah,
he's a great basketball player. Led his team to state championship as a junior. Great baseball player. His dad, was a great baseball player at Tulane, and mom was a great volleyball player. She won a state title at Country Day, but she played at LSU. And his sister is on the volleyball team at Tulane. So just a neat family, but he's been pulled in a lot of different directions athletically. He's got great size, movement, 6'4", 220, can run. All 3 of these guys can run it well, but I really was impressed with their accuracy, which is so important in the quarterback position.
Coach, you lost.
Keon's going to come in. Keon will come in as the starter, but those 2 guys are going to get a ton of reps, have the opportunity to be with.
Coach, you lost some experience at running back, but you return. I'm impressed with Corey Duffine from Port Arthur, Texas, came over from Texas Tech, and I really like you guy, Amari Jones. Amari Jones, he's like a Swiss Army knife at receiver for you, running back, special teams. But what do you think of Amari Jones and Corey? These guys were not like 5-star recruits. They were great finds for your staff.
We're loaded at running back. We got a bunch of guys that can play any place in the country. I really mean that. We've run the ball. I think we're 11th in the nation last year running the football, right about 250 yards a game. Corey Duffine ran 20.7, 200 meters high school. That's the fastest time in the country. He averaged 8.1 yards per carry. I believe that's the top yards per carry and coming back in the nation NCAA football. Amari Jones had a great year. He can do it all, as you said. Great punt and kick returner. He's just as good lining up the receivers as he is the running back. I'll tell you a guy that we played him in 4 games last year, and he had just those 4 games he played great. We probably shouldn't have redshirted him and played him, but that's Tajay Spears, Ponchatoula.
Yeah.
A great high school career with Hank Tierney over Ponchatoula. And I think he's going to be just a star at Tulane. He ends up graduating. He's going to be one of the top rushers in school history. Cam Carroll's a big back for us. 230. Stephon Hutterson has played a ton for us. Y.G. Booker's another guy that's a great running back. So that's going to be the strength of our offense, the quality and the depth that we have in the running back position.
I know that you lost Darnell Moody to the NFL, which is it's great to see guys get drafted from Tulane. Darnell was, I thought, a great player for your program, and you had some kids get drafted, Coach, and it's good to see that because that means y'all are recruiting well, and these guys go off to the NFL. It helps recruiting with the kids coming up, but it was a record year of kids from Tulane going in the draft this past year.
Both the kids that ended up getting drafted, we signed after signing day my first year. So there's a lot of mistakes made in recruiting.
Right.
I'm glad that everybody made a mistake. Those two guys, Darnell went to the combine, had the fifth fast 40. Curious Keys, the corner force drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs. I think he was 160 pounds when we signed him. He also is from Laurel, Mississippi, and he went to the combine and was 202 pounds, ran a 4.48.
Incredible.
He's long, tall corner. So, that's part of our, we talk about our philosophy. We want to recruit, quality Division I student athletes, character. We want to retain those guys by having a good culture where they thrive and grow. But we also want to develop the students and his people, but also as athletes. And our strength staff and our coaches certainly did a great job with both those guys. We've also got three other guys that are going into NFL camps. Jalen McCleskey, wide receiver, J.J. Sun. He's going to be with the Atlanta Falcons.
St. Paul's High School. St. Paul's.
Yeah, St. Paul there in the North Shore. He really could have signed with about 12 NFL teams. They were all after him when he didn't get drafted. He went with the Falcons. Christian Montano, center for us, going with the Steelers, and Darius Bradwell signed with the Los Angeles Chargers. So a bunch of guys getting opportunities.
Coach, I noticed some young guys in practice that impressed me that are coming back to lead your team this year that were under the radar a little bit, and I think will have pro careers. Patrick Johnson, your big senior DN, number 7. I love that kid. Jeffrey Johnson, number 77, your nose guard. Joey Claybrook on the O-line, number 79. These are guys that I really liked and think that are going to be good leaders for you, obviously. I just noticed them with an eye just going to your practice. Patrick Johnson, to me, looks like an SEC starter. That's a big-time DN for you.
He's had a great career. They came out with a mock draft the other day, and I think he was the 38th pick in the second round by somebody. That doesn't mean anything right now. But, a lot of people are looking at him. He's had a great career for us. He got banged up last year. He tore his labrum and played through it about the last 6 games of the year. He had surgery on that right after the season. So he'll be back to full speed for us. Talked about big Jeffrey Johnson. He's a guy that was a field for us. Had a ton of offers coming out of high school, and I had some health issues, and they ended up checking him out. It really was nothing. We were fortunate enough to get him. Joey Claybrook, big, tall, long, offensive tackle. Cam Sample's another guy on the defensive line. I think it's going to be a second-day draft pick, second, third, fourth round, somewhere in that area. So we've really done a nice job identifying guys, developing them, and it's helped us, be a team that, first time in school history, Tulane won back-to-back bowl games. It's only the third time since 1979 that Tulane's had back-to-back winning seasons.
That's amazing.
79-80 and 97-98. So we're going in the right direction. We've still got a lot of goals to accomplish, but recruiting the right guys, developing them, certainly helps.
Coach, how impressed are you right now with the 2 Louisiana transfers that came back from D1? I love Mikael Jones when he was at Patterson. He signed with Oklahoma. Receiver that's coming back to play for you, going to be a senior. And also Kevin Henry, the linebacker from Central, my alma mater, Central High School, went to Oklahoma State. Both of these kids were starting early in their careers for these schools, as you know, Coach, and they're going to be able to help you. And what do you think of them so far? I know you didn't get a chance to see them in pads yet, but, 2 big-time players coming to the program.
Yeah, we got to see them a little bit, those 5 practices in the spring. But both of them are, number one, they're quality young men, both excellent students. We have a hard time getting transfers in, grad transfers. They've got to have a certain GPA. They've got to have transferable credit, and we got to be very selective. I get a lot of phone calls, particularly Louisiana kids, wanting to come back home. And fortunately for us, these guys both great students and also great players. I think Mike Jones is, he's showed us a lot in those 5 practices. Good size, great speed, and he's just a refined receiver. Great route runner, hand, and he plays big ball games. I think he's had 33 catches at Oklahoma. You know, then Kevin started 3 or 4 games in his career at Oklahoma State. Very good in the kicking game. So they're both, we feel like both of them are going to start for us, be impact players immediately.
Coach, I got one more question for you, and I've got to give some kudos to a position nobody talks about. You might have the biggest punter in Division I football. And I went to practice last year, and I'm watching because your punter didn't have a jersey number on. So I'm looking at the roster, and I'm going, well, that's got to be an offensive tackle, you know. And I was talking to Don, your coach, Don Lanholm, and I was like, Coach, who's that? He's like, no, that's a punter, Ryan Wright. I said, man, I mean, that kid's 6'3", about 260, 255 from California, and he's got to be the biggest punter in the United States in D1 ball.
Oh, he's a big fella. It's funny that you mentioned that. I saw last night that he tweeted out kind of a picture of showing how much weight he's lost.
Oh, okay.
We've been on him about losing weight. Our nutritionist has helped him out, and he's been wanting to lose it. And he finally just, the guys lose weight or gain weight. You can do everything you want,
right.
But they don't buy in. There's not a whole lot you can do about it. But he's lost about 30 pounds. Really looks good. Improved his flexibility. And if he, just needs to get a little more consistent. If he can get that consistency, if he shows it in practice, he is a big-time punter.
Yeah,
I saw that. He's got an NFL leg. Just got to do it, replicate that movement, rep after rep after rep after rep. So we're lucky. Our guys, we practice out there at the Saints facility, and then the Saints come over and practice at our place. Our guys have gotten to know future Hall of Famer Thomas Morstead.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's talked to those guys an awful lot. He's really influenced, Ryan. Ryan's seen how Thomas built his work regiment that he goes through, and I think that's going to help him. He's going to have a great final 2 years for us. Hey,
Coach, if I'm an opposing team this year against Tulane, I'm not sending my cornerback to try and block a punt. Not against this guy. I mean, most punters, 180, 190, tall. I mean, you're going to bounce off. You're going to get hurt trying to block a punt. So that's a good thing. He's a big guy, and I'm glad he lost weight. But he has a great leg. That's what I was wanting to tell you. I really was impressed with him. I'm like, for the size he was and watching him in practice, I was like, man, this guy can really boom the ball. And but that's, I wouldn't want to be that 5'10" corner trying to knock down a guy 230 now, 6'3". At punter. Coach.
He's a good high school quarterback also.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a good story for a lot of people to talk about Ryan Wright, especially if he can get to the NFL at the end. Like you said, he's got the potential to get there. And, Coach, I appreciate you joining us. I know you're busy. I know you're traveling right now. And just keep doing a great job, and look forward to hopefully catching a practice for the team this coming season again. Like I said, I think we all need football to come back, and it's one of the great sports in the world. And appreciate you doing a great job. I know Tulane fans are great to have you, and y'all are just doing wonderful things for the program and developing these young men. And just I just think it's a great thing. So,
well, Lee, you're always welcome. Anytime you want to come to practice, come on over. Love to have you. Appreciate all the coverage you give us. Both your podcast, your magazine, and anything we can do, we'll do it. So thank you very much. Roll wave, everybody.
All right, Coach. Coach Fritz, Willie Fritz from Tulane, the head football coach. He joined us, and we talked about the team and everything, and glad to have him. Coach, don't hang up. I'll talk to you right when we finish. You're listening to Sports Scouting Report with Lee Brecheen. We'll be right back.
Parents, are you looking for advice on getting your high school athlete recruited by the right college? Lee Brecheen is your answer. Lee has been doing it for over 30 years. He knows the ropes, and more importantly, he knows the people. Lee offers turnkey service from evaluation, creating highlight tapes in the correct format, and complete guidelines for effective communication with the schools. No matter the sport, girl or boy, no matter what grade your child is in, let Lee Brecheen help match your child to the right college fit. Go to our website, lafootballmagazine.com, and get connected today.
Thanks for listening to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brecheen. If you want to read more on the Newman Greenies, the Tulane Green Wave, and all of the high school and college football teams in the state of Louisiana, go to lafootballmagazine.com to pre-order your North or South Magazine edition for the upcoming 2020 season. Also, don't forget to subscribe to wherever you listen to your podcasts. We hope you enjoy the show, and we will see you on Friday.
Thanks for listening to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brecheen.